All right, so we took the body off of the frame, and the only prep work that I've done to this frame is exactly what you see, and exactly what you get when we do our oil-based undercoating, rust proofing. All right, so we take the loose flaking rust and we knock it down. You'll see some loose flaking rust on the springs here. I really, sometimes I'll mess with those, but most of the time I'm just gonna leave that alone, because the oil, what it's gonna do is it's gonna soften up that rust, that flaking rust, and the movement of the spring is gonna bounce that flaking rust right off of there after the oil penetrates it. So front of the frame wasn't that bad, all right? Ball it around, typical rut right around the body mounts. That one wasn't that bad. That one wasn't that bad. But as you can see, this is all safety cap here. So we had to cut out the frame midway, reattach the safety cap, and then we had to tie them in to the existing body mounts. So once again, after we cut out the frame, there was no prep work done there. What I'm trying to showcase, especially in the overlap here, is going to be the creep factor, okay? I'm not gonna take this apart or anything after the year's up, but what I am going to do is I'm gonna look for any rot that's gonna start creeping up back through here. It's going to be rot that's going to come up from the seam and penetrate through the weld and start walking its way back out onto the frame. If there is going to be a frame that's going to do it, this is going to be the one. Okay, so once again, we're going to look at the inside of this frame. Same thing. We just did the safety cap all the way back, and we had to tie in a little bit. I still got a little bit more to do. That's going to be welded up as soon as the body goes back on. On these Forerunners, this is a very typical spot of rust, which is where the shock mounts. This is a nightmare of a truck to change the shocks on when they're inboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount a shock mount on the exterior of the frame. It's a pretty typical upgrade on the Forerunners. Third gens. So what I did on the rear end, I've already oil coated it. You can see we just knocked off, once again, the flaking rust. The NHOU is going to penetrate through the existing rust, the remaining rust, down to the base material, prevent any moisture or air from getting into contact with that base material and feeding that rust so the rust doesn't grow, okay? So we did a little bit of patchwork back here. Same thing, just cut out the rot and made a new body mount. I've got to tie in some more structure there, but so walking around the rest of the frame. Rest of the frame was okay. It's not great, but I see a lot of frames that come in like this. Okay, we safety cap on this side. This side was worse. This side was actually bad all the way up. And there's another portion on the inside right around the shock or the sway bar bushing mount that had rotted out as well. Toyota, you did a shit job right here, which is where you combine two box frames together and you gave them no source of area to drain down here, so all of that water sat there and rots it out. So what I'm going to do after I get it back up in the air is I'm going to drill a hole down here so that all that water that gets trapped down there now can come back out. So you can kind of get an idea of how bad the rust was by looking at those springs. That's a pretty good indication of how bad it actually was on the entire frame. But once again, all we did, needle gunned it down, cut off the frame on the bottom, in the middle, and threw a safety cap on there. No prep work, and we're going to oil coat the frame and take the body back off in a year and do another walk around, give you guys a good idea of how effective NHOU is, even on bare metal. I know everybody has seen the YouTube videos. If you're watching this video, I know that you have seen the YouTube video where the guy takes a flat sheet of steel and treats it with all the different rust proofing and then hangs it up on the side of the road. Well, what he didn't do is exactly what the maker of this product, NHOU, says specifically to do, which is to get good buildup into the oil, so that the oil holds itself to the material that it's applied to. So what I typically do after applying the oil coating is I take it for a spin down a local dirt road, get a nice layer of dust on there, locks that oil to the frame, and then we also do not recommend any undercoating or undercarriage washes. So I'm going to give you a quick shot of the undercarriage of the car. Surprisingly enough, that is not where these rot. These rot in the frames. They do not rot in the bodies. But there's a little bit of surface rust on all of the unibody braces. You can see very, very typical. Because where's that salt sit? Right up in there. Where's that salt sit? Right up in there. It doesn't sit here. It sits in all of these seams. And what is the most effective way to prevent that from getting any worse? NHOU, because I can spray NHOU here and it is going to walk its way all the way up into that seam. So this right here, this is a spot weld. That's a spot weld. This is open right here between these two panels. This is open. It's a fantastic design because what happens in an impact is these two pieces, they actually crinkle together, and the manufacturers, they figure that into their collision ratings. So the more they can get the body to crinkle before the impact reaches the passenger, the safer the passenger is going to be. The negative aspect of that is because all of these spaces, they're all open. That's where you cannot wash the salt out of, and it just breeds rot and rust. So rockers on this, they're okay. They're not great. They're okay. We've got some rot up here. Very typical. Very, very typical. There's actually a drain up there that comes down on the inside and drains into these rockers and rots them out from the inside. Terrible, terrible design, Toyota, but I don't really care about it because this was bought as a demo car for NHOU. So once again, this is the rot that is caused by that internal draining right down into those rockers. So in really good shape, body-wise, really not a ton of rot on all these body mounts. Very typical. Once again, this is where that rubber body mount sits against the frame, and you can see that that's where they start to rot. Not where they can get washed. No. It's where they cannot get washed, where they cannot get water to. And then by the time that reaches out where it's visible, it's already started to penetrate completely through here, and your car is done. So this is same on that drain issue that comes down, very typical on 4Runners. So, all right, so stay tuned. It's going to be a while, but I'm going to drive this on a daily basis through the winter. No undercarriage washes. I do wash the exterior, but no undercarriage washes because we do not want the NHOU product to leak out or to get washed off. Once again, we preach this. It is not regular rainwater or road wash that washes this product off. It's high pressure water, i.e. those undercarriage washes from the car washes. So, all right. So stay tuned. Thanks.